What is the worst thing that happened on your birthday? Story 1. For my 17th birthday, I had gotten some money from my grandparents for the first time in forever. $80, I'm US. And while we were out that night for a family dinner, my uncle asked for $40 since he couldn't afford it. So me being a naive sweetheart, I helped him out. Note, at the time, I only got money from things like this. I was not employed. Long story short, he never paid me back. But what really upset me was my parents took the remaining $40 to fix the tires, and any time I brought up getting paid back, I was cussed out for being ungrateful and trying to extort them for money and being a terrible child. All I want them for is their money, and I don't love them, you know? General toxic manipulative parents. Another thing they'd do about it was a time I asked about the money, they'd ask in a snide tone, "Well, why do you need the money? Just what are you gonna buy?" And anything I said was met with, "Oh, that's BS. You don't need that. Don't waste our money." "It's not your money I'm wasting. It's mine." I never got that money back, and that was the last gift my grandparents gave me. Story 2. My 18th. My twin sister and I decided to celebrate with all our friends on a pub crawl. Her friends kept giving her rum and cokes. She got drunk really fast and had a panic attack in the middle of the street. She kept hugging me, trying to calm down, while her boyfriend was texting on his phone next to her, looking bored out of his mind. Eventually, one of my friends tries to get her to move around a bit, and sister's boyfriend grabs her arm and tells her to go away. My sister's friend tells mine to F off, then her boyfriend tells me that I should just go so she can look after her. My best friend at the time tells me that I don't know my twin better than her boyfriend, and that I should just leave her alone for a while. I eventually had to leave so that people would stop arguing and making my sister panic even worse. My best friend then tells me that we should go to a club to feel better. We get there and she doesn't have any money, so I pay for her to get in, had a poopy time, and went home. Story 3. Whoa, buddy, my time to shine. I hate my birthday. Something bad happens almost every year. I think it's cursed. Princess Diana died on my first birthday, my parents' divorce finalized on my 4th birthday, and my brother ran away on my 5th. We spent weeks looking for him, and my birthday obviously kinda got lost in the shuffle. My grandmother passed away 2 days before my 7th birthday, my other brother had an explosive fight on my 12th, and refused to visit any of us for about a year. The same brother got into a bad car wreck on May 16th, I was AR'd on my 18th birthday, found out I was pregnant on my 19th, terrible at the time, but I absolutely love my children. Was just in the middle of a very bad downward spiral. Got the living daylights beaten out of me on my 20th. The past 2 have actually been surprisingly good, but I'm not looking forward to my 23rd. Too long didn't read. Birthday is cursed. I celebrated a month early so it isn't tainted by bad memories. Story 4. I shared my 11th birthday with a pal from down the road, and his parents were giving him a party, so he invited me, along with some of our friends, to share. In their front garden, Surrey, UK. Oops, I should be doing my English accent for this. They had a sunken lawn which doubled as a tennis court or a playing field for us youngsters, but this year there was a huge thunderstorm that emptied massive quantities of rain on us and drove us all indoors. The party was somewhat dampened until the storm ended, and we found that there was easily a foot or more of rainwater in the sunken lawn. We quickly scampered out to splash and play in the water. It was brilliant. In the middle of all this, there was suddenly a dull screech and thump on the road outside, and it didn't take long for us to find out that my pal's father had crossed the road to nip to a nearby shop, and on his return, he'd been hit by a van. Sadly, he passed away on impact, never to be forgotten, even though that's now almost 63 years ago. Story 5. For my 11th birthday, my dad took me to go see a monster truck rally because it was something he wanted to do. I asked him for help carrying in all the souvenirs when we got home, since his hands were empty, and I got in trouble for asking him to carry all my crap. They were mostly his souvenirs. I went to bed that night having an existential crisis, since my older sister had passed away 3 years previous, and I had just been told about the existence of my deceased twin brother about a year before. I was the last survivor of my siblings, and cried myself to sleep because of the sudden realization that life is short, and I didn't do what I wanted for the only 11th birthday I would ever have. I'm 28 now, and I remember an 11-year-old me saying I would blink and be 30, blink and be 60, then blink again and be unalive. It wasn't a good birthday. Story 6. In high school, I had a pool party for my birthday in our community pool. Since we didn't have a pool at our home, one of the girls I invited kept talking about how boring it was and how stupid it was that we had to get out of the pool for rest breaks. They used to make everyone under 18 get out of the pool for 10 minutes each hour for a rest break. She ended up convincing literally everyone that my party sucked and everyone should go back to her mom's apartment and we could all go to the pool there. So an hour after it started, everyone wanted to leave my party to go to this other girl's house. I felt really bad, not just because my party was ruined, but because my parents paid for all of my friends to get into the pool and spent over $100 on everyone's admission, and we stayed for less than 2 hours. Story 7. My mom is a re-gifter, despite being extremely picky about the gifts she receives. She's not poor. This year for my birthday, I received a box with wrapped gifts. Opened one, then realized it was a carefully selected gift I had given her 2 years ago at Christmas. When she called, she asked how I liked my gifts, which included a 15-year-old candle from her closet and stationery from her own stock of sidewalk sale finds. I didn't have much to say. She texted later that she could tell I didn't like my presents, but that she put a lot of work into shopping for and wrapping them. I wrote back and said my feelings were hurt that she re-gifted me something I gave her. She informed me that she wasn't going to send presents anymore. Story 8. Not really on my birthday, but when I turned 16, me and another friend were supposed to celebrate our birthdays together since they were so close. But shortly before this, I broke up with my boyfriend of 2 months, who was best friends with that friend, and since he was pretty upset by the breakup, he didn't want to come to that party if I was there, and she therefore chose to exclude me, which is understandable. The thing that wasn't fine was that she didn't do anything to make up for it. After this, I tried to find if someone else would be down to do something with me for my birthday, but no one wanted to. Haven't really celebrated my birthday since then. Story 9. My dad left on my 9th birthday. It was right after I blew the candles out on my ice cream cake. My mom retreated to her room the rest of the night. My sisters left and drove around, I guess. I never did find out, and I sat on the kitchen floor and cried. When my oldest sister got home, she hugged me and put the cake in the freezer. It was completely melted. But the next day I opened the freezer and there was a bigger, brand new ice cream cake replacing the melted one. Her boyfriend bought it and brought it over after I went to bed that night after finding out what my dad had done. It's been 20 years and I still give Cameron a hug when I see him. Story 10. My 40th. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law came to babysit our kids, and husband and I were off to a fancy hotel in the city to celebrate our 10th wedding anniversary a couple of weeks later. My husband got absolutely wasted the night before we went and quietly continued drinking all day. Probably snorted something too. I had to drive into the hotel. He kept drinking and passed out by 9 p.m. It was not the weekend I had envisioned, and certainly not how I had planned to spend my 40th. I should have left him at home, gone in on my own, and left my mother-in-law to deal with him. Less than 6 months later, we were separated. Story 11. Got sent to New York City for work the day before my birthday. Went from the airport straight to the office. Worked until 3:30 a.m., got to the hotel, and they upgraded me to an insane suite since it was my birthday. Had to go back to work at 7:30 a.m., so I saw the nice suite for all of 10 minutes. We got done working around 8:30 p.m. and took a cab to LaGuardia for a 10:30 flight. One of my colleagues bought me the only food option available, an Auntie Anne's pretzel, and 3 of my colleagues sang happy birthday to me in the American terminal at LaGuardia while I ate a pretzel for my birthday dinner. Story 12. On my 17th birthday, all of my friends took me out to eat, then to see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. During the movie, my phone kept ringing over and over. It was my grandpa, so I assumed he just forgot to call earlier and wanted to wish me a happy birthday. When we got out of the movie, everyone went home. My mom had gone to a concert that night, so when I got home, there were all these messages from my grandpa saying, "Call me now." When I called him back, he told me my cousin had passed away in a motorcycle accident earlier that night. I had to wait up for my mom to get home so I could tell her the news. Story 13. My 10th birthday. I was sleeping with my mom, and she spent the night of my birthday telling me what a disappointment I was and how I needed to grow up while I lay there with tears silently running down my face while she berated me. She was angry that I hadn't changed out of my school uniform because I had wanted to watch Battlestar Galactica 1978, and I was still wearing it when a family came over to give me my present. When my mom was angry, she could be cruel and unkind. She was angry a lot. Oh yeah, that was the birthday my dad borrowed my birthday money for gambling. Please like and subscribe if you've made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of this video and have a wonderful day. Story 14. My cat, whom I still can't get neutered thanks to my religious family, had had her first litter around 1 month before my birthday. I always joked about how they were all an early birthday present and such. Something went terribly wrong, and they all started to die one by one. Not only that, they all followed the same pattern of death, crying for hours, trying to run away from the card box that we put them in, and dying suddenly. The last one to die died on my birthday, but hey, at least I still have my queen and 1 tomcat from that litter. Story 15. Well, today's my birthday, and I already stubbed my toe on a chair leg. I'll come back if something else poopy happens. Update. Okay, I'm back, and first of all, happy birthday to all my fellow April 25ths in the thread. My day actually went great. Every time I walked in a classroom, people would yell, "Happy birthday!" Too bad my social anxiety didn't like a bunch of classmates giving me attention. I got gifts though, so that's cool. Story 16. My stepdad shot a guy and hid his body. Since then, I've lost most of my close friends, as they also knew him, and now I can't trust anyone new, so it's hard to try and make new ones. I used to be really outgoing and social, but nowadays I can barely leave the house without receiving dirty looks from the people in my small town. I want to get out of here, but I'm being paid to take care of my grandparents, so I can't leave until my mom can get out of jail and get back to doing it. My depression was just starting to get better, too, when it happened. Story 17. I had a joint birthday party when I was 6 with a girl from my school who was a week older than me. However, her mom insisted that the birthday was held on the girl's birthday at the hall that the mom's sister worked at. Long story short, I was able to invite 3 friends, and everyone else was the girl's friends. Because my birthday wasn't for another week, I had to watch the girl open all her presents and spent the whole time sitting in the corner while she played with all her new toys. Never had a birthday party since. Story 18. On my 14th birthday, I had to go work with my dad, hardwood flooring, and he got mad at me because I didn't know how to use a table saw, so we proceeded to kick me and spank me with a piece of wood flooring, all the while working at a girl's house who was in my grade, and I'm pretty sure she saw the whole thing. She's now in my chem class, and I always feel super awkward. My girlfriend blatantly ignored me that day. Story 19. Fell off my brand new tricycle and broke my arm on my 4th birthday. My mom didn't believe my arm was broken, so didn't go to the hospital until 2 days later. Also, when I was about 12, I had my party at a park. This was before the days of mobile phones, and my friends who were coming couldn't find us. They gave up and all went to McDonald's together, while I sat and ate my cake with my mom. Worst thing was the following Monday when they talked about how much fun they had without me. Story 20. When I turned 7, my dad had to go away for work the morning of my birthday, which meant leaving before I was awake. He did leave a card for me at the end of my bed, but as he was a single parent, it was devastating for me to not have him there. On my 8th birthday, my siblings and I were pulled into a bedroom during my birthday party to be told that we were moving to another state, which meant moving away from the mother we had just reconnected with. Story 21. My best friend and best coworker and I made big plans for a taco lunch after my birthday because my family had plans to take me out on my birthday. When a call came through on her phone on my big day, I assumed she was calling to wish me a happy birthday. Nope, it was her family calling me to tell me she had passed away in her sleep earlier that morning. Everything just stopped at that moment. So much sadness still, and this was nearly 3 years ago. Story 22. Was at Macca's and played Truth or Dare with my 8-year-old friends. They dared me to go and stand outside, did not specify for how long. I assumed someone would surprise me with a birthday present. I waited there for a good 30 minutes. No one ever came. I went back inside, and everyone other than my parents left. My parents thought I was saying goodbye to everyone. Still mad. Story 23. My birthday is in the fasting period of August. Parents are religious, so I never got a cake, as it has eggs. 18th birthday, take friends out to a club. Girl makes out with dude. Boyfriend walks in at that time. she starts the waterworks. Same night, I walk out of the club for some fresh air to thank a friend for coming. 20 guys start to brawl against 2. The 2 were winning. Story 24. When I turned 21, I was singing happy birthday to the big ground heater, basically a generator on wheels with a big hose to direct hot air either at your face or at your feet, next to a B-52 bomber full of nukes. Just standing out there on the runway by my aircraft for 17 hours, just singing to myself and freezing my butt off. Good times in the Air Force. Story 25. On my 12th birthday, I had major surgery. It was planned, and as a JW kid, I never celebrated my birthday anyway. JW is Jehovah's Witness, by the way. But it ended up being a lot worse than I thought it would be. I thought this was the surgery that would make me better. But it was still permanently disfigured and was in the hospital off my head on pain meds for another few months. Story 26. Well, my husband's birthday was this past Sunday. We woke up to a chilling phone call at 5 a.m. that my brother had been brutally assaulted and was in critical condition. Obviously, the rest of my husband's birthday was spent sitting in the ICU. I gotta think that takes the cake for the worst birthday, along with the worst Easter. Story 27. My parents completely forgot that it was my birthday. I was excited all day to get a present or a card or anything, but the entire day went by and no one remembered, aside from one random friend at school. It was really depressing. My dad ended up remembering a day or so later because he checked Facebook and saw the notification. Story 28. My birthday is the day after Christmas. I genuinely had that day where everyone forgot. No cake, no presents, nothing. I was at a family reunion, and I have a big family, so it's somewhat excusable. One of my cousins finally figured it out at like 10 p.m. and made a big fuss about it, but everyone was already in bed. Story 29. The Space Shuttle Challenger blew up on my 13th birthday. I'd say that was probably the worst. On the day of my 30th birthday party, the Space Shuttle Columbia exploded. My birthday and space shuttles just don't go together. Also, I have 2 cousins whose birthdays are on September 11th. Story 30. Closed on our new house in the morning. Yay! At 6 p.m. that night, I went to a meeting to find out our company was being acquired by another company, and all but one location was closing, and most of us would be out of a job by the end of the following month. Worst birthday ever. Story 31. My parents phoned me on my 21st birthday to tell me that they wouldn't be able to afford to get me a gift because they'd had to use the money to have my childhood dog put to sleep. He was an old doggo, and they did get me a gift later. It was just how it all came together. Story 32. Dog threw up on my 6th birthday cake. I wasn't too distraught, although my mother was a little sad because she put a lot of effort into it. To make things better, we drove to Kohl's, got one of those cheap yet godly mud cakes, plus an ice cream of my choice. Story 33. As a teenager, an awful case of food poisoning. Woke up that morning and was terribly ill all day without any break. Family still went out for dinner without me and enjoyed it while I couldn't even keep the water down. Took a good week to feel well again. Story 34. We had Reuben's and my brother chugged a Sprite before eating his. He ended up spewing it all over the kitchen. My mom was about to go get a towel, but my dad said, "No, I got this," and called our dog in. He proceeded to indeed take care of it. Story 35. My elder youngest sister is 2 years younger than me, but her birthday is the day before mine. The worst thing to ever happen to me on my birthday was getting her as a second birthday present. Apparently, I wasn't allowed to refuse the present. Story 36. I invited 5 kids to my first and only birthday party. None of them came. There were only my sister's guests. Our birthdays are only a day apart, so we celebrate together. I wasn't truly hurt, but birthdays became even less of a big deal to me after that time. Story 37. Bitten by a pony at my horse-themed birthday party when I was 7 or something. My mom and I rode the pony to my childhood home and put it in the garden where it got anxious because of all the kids. Was my favorite pony at the time. Fun times. Story 38. I had asked for a cookie cake from Mrs. Fields because they're awesome. My stepmom said she would bake one and it would be even better. She somehow mixed up sugar with salt while making it. What came out of that oven was a freaking war crime. Oh no, it's the glop monster. Story 39. My birthdays were never all that dramatic. My younger brother, though, was a little poophead, and one of his teenage birthdays, and my mom threw his cake in the garbage, and it was a cake she made for him, so you know she was mad. Story 40. On my 11th, I was in a daycare after school, and I really had to take a poop. The high school counselor just wouldn't let me go, so I ran to the bathroom crying my eyes out. In all fairness, though, I was a bad kid. Story 41. I was going through chemo on my 13th birthday. I had a high fever and had to be hospitalized. My birthday is December 24th. My sister told me I ruined Christmas. I was so ready to just give up and pass away that night. Story 42. I had gotten in the car to go to our family pond to celebrate my becoming a teenager. As we drove, my mother informed me that none of the friends I invited were going to attend the celebration. Story 43. A friend accidentally poured boiling water on my little brother when trying to make a cup of tea. Luckily, it all worked out and it wasn't that bad, but it kind of killed the mood somewhat. Story 44. My parents ignored my 12th birthday to take my younger siblings, 1088, to a Halloween party while I stayed home, locked in my room. I don't talk to them anymore for a variety of reasons. Story 45. Not actually on my birthday, but the morning after, celebrating my birthday with friends, my father passed away. Many of their last experiences with him was when he dropped off the keg. Story 46. Getting a letter from my biological dad. One of the lines read, "I do not wish to see or speak to you again." My birthday is also Christmas Day. I was 12. Story 47. I got out of bed, shouted, "It's my birthday!" slipped and fell down the stairs, and ended up in hospital with a concussion. Story 48. A friend I played Counter-Strike with drove into a tree and passed away on my birthday in September 2017. I got a call from a mutual friend that evening when I was celebrating in a small circle. Story 49. Spent my last birthday in the hospital with my mom. She had no idea where she was or who I was. That was the day I realized that she didn't have long left. Story 50. It was my 16th. The first person to tell me happy birthday was the DMV lady when I got my license, mid-afternoon. It hurt, but nothing major. Story 51. Somebody bought a big cake in for the whole class. I was like, wow, that was thoughtful of you. It was for someone else's birthday. Story 52. My friend took me to a bar, ditched me at the bar, and said, "You can go if you want," as she turned back to her other friends. Story 53. I was turning 22. My mom sliced a watermelon and stuck a candle in it instead of getting a cake. I've always hated watermelon. Story 54. Our dog passed away the day before my 10th birthday. My parents remembered the next day, and they felt pretty bad. Story 55. I was born on 9/11, but after 2001. But it's all anybody thinks of when you say your birthday is 9/11. Story 56. My husband finally destroyed me enough that I spent my birthday filling out divorce papers. Story 57. My little brother put cumin powder and orange juice on my cake. Ugh. Story 58. I got my first period during my 13th birthday party, and I cried. Story 59. This is a very sad tale of woe, the saddest one of all. Story 60. Being forgotten. Well, rather than end on a sad note like those last few stories, how about a happy one related to birthdays? If, for whatever reason, you happen to be interested in seeing me sing a Swedish and Norwegian medley birthday song, go to the channel Brother Goose and check it out there. Just search Brother Goose Swedish Norwegian medley. You'll probably find it. Please leave your stories in the comments. I'd love to make a video of them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.